28 years later, smashes into the box office. The Punisher returns. News about the next director for James Bond, and so much more on this episode of Beyond the Screen. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Beyond the Screen. I'm your host, Ryan, and a new face.
I'm not Jake.
You're not Jake. Where's my beloved? What'd you do?
He's gone.
No!
Forever.
No, so if you haven't seen, if you're listening, if you haven't heard, Jake is indisposed. He's moving. He's a busy man. We've had this happen before because he's he likes to abandon me and my issues,
He doesn't like us.
So he is moving apartments, and he just was like, I'm not going to be ready. My room's not sound treated. I don't want to be sitting on the floor. And I was like, it's okay. I was helping him move on Friday when he went to where his new spot is, and it is so nice. And I'm excited for his setup, and I think you guys will like it too. For when you actually see it, for those who watch this on Spotify and YouTube. But with that in mind, that is why Sir Claw Jacob is not here this evening, but in his stead is the lovely Emily Keller, our director, social media manager, and now fill-in co-host. Emily, how you doing?
Ryan, how are you doing?
I love this bit. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I have a big head, so I'm very thankful when you ask me these things because, so I'm doing great. Fresh off the heels of our third week on a film, I am eat to death. We were out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, and we were seated on the opposite side of a fire pit, so in grass, in June, in central, western central area, Kentucky, not quite south, not quite north, but not east. And I don't remember feeling bugs, but I got eat up. And so I'm very itchy, but I'm also itching to get into that film news. Am I right, Emily?
That's a good one.
Thank you,
it's a
thank
real
you,
knee
thank you.
slapper.
Yeah. Anyway, going back, what have you been up to, Emily? How are you doing? Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm doing good. I have just started my second week at my new job here. I'm switching gears a little bit. I was in the news industry for a while, and now I'm switching over to social media stuff. And I'm super excited to get my hands in design and try that outlet out a little bit because I've not dove into that too much yet. So super excited, very thankful for where I am. Just chilling, having a great time, having some. Ryan, what are you drinking tonight?
Dude,
tell everybody what you're drinking.
Tea, straight black tea.
So boring. Anyway, thank you for asking. I am having hazelnut cookie black tea that I got in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
But you can get it online. It's not
exclusive,
not especially Gatlinburg. Yeah, but it's so good.
Hey,
it's like my special thing. I was inspired by the one and only Ryan Gum here because I saw him drinking tea. I just had to make myself some. So that's where I am tonight. We're having some peaceful film conversations over hot tea. Yeah. We're spilling the film tea, if you will, while we are drinking hot tea.
Another man, we're on fire.
We are.
Yeah. No. So hey, I would love to be that kind of podcast. Sit back, relax, drink your hot piping tea. And we'll get into the news for you.
Yeah.
We got to dive into that. But
we have to get Jake into it.
Yeah, no, for sure. So the reason that she transitioned to tea is because she was clowning me for only drinking black tea. It tastes the same, hot or cold.
Right.
Yeah, it tastes the same, hot or cold. So, but anywho, we're caffeinated. I hope I don't come across as sluggish or less energetic. I am exhausted because we filmed of the 2 days, we filmed 18 hours. So I'm very tired. So bear with me if I flub and I stubble, but we're going to get through it. And so thank you guys for being here. We're going to hop into our first segment, which as always is our box office news. We go over the top 5 in this past week's, our winners. So we're going to start at number 1 with How to Train Your Dragon in its second week, finishing first again, raking in $37 million in domestic theaters. That brings its domestic total to 160.5, which is a good number for a film in 2 weeks. Overall, the film has made $358.2 million globally, which is a great number for a film. Again, these remakes are cleaning up. These live action weird takes. So if you take a look right now, the two highest grossing films of 2025 is a Minecraft movie, a video game adaptation. Lilo and Stitch, which we'll get to in a minute, is currently second, slowly, ever so slowly, encroaching on that number one spot. Live action remake, and now this might be the next one to reach that milestone and be the third, or maybe even overtake a Minecraft movie if it keeps blowing up the way it is in How to Train Your Dragon, another adaptation. You have anything to say, Emily? I don't want to interrupt you.
About
How to Train Your Dragon.
everything in general?
Just what I was saying. Sorry, I looked like you're going to start saying something. I didn't want to interrupt.
No, I'm looking at the rundown right now, so I have a visual while we're chatting about
Okay,
it.
cool. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on. We'll go down the rest of the list, and then we'll go over what intrigued us about this past week. Coming in second is 28 Years Later, a debuting film. Not the first in our top 5 this week. The Danny Boyle directed horror film raked in $30 million domestically in its opening weekends, $60 million overall, which is a good mark. So good, in fact, that those are both career bests for Boyle in any film he's done in his illustrious career. It's got a decent tomato meter score with an 89%, which is pretty high for a horror film. But man, our audience is harsh. They are harsh on the zombie apocalyptic film, but only apocalyptic in the UK. That is like canon in this film. It's only in the United Kingdom. It's not anywhere else. It's only in the UK. Anyway, audiences are harsh. It's received a B cinema score, which is slightly above the average B- for the horror genre. So not terrible, not great for a film that's supposed to be like a legacy sequel, supposed to spawn another 2 films in a trilogy. The worst of it, though, comes from the popcorn meter, which is the Rotten Tomato audience score kind of tracker, a 65%. That is so close to a flop. That's danger. If it was on the tomato meter from critics, that'd probably be a splat. That's how close we are to this film. It's just teetering that line. So there's a fun little thing, and I don't want to go too far in this because it's going around the meme about this film. I won't explicitly state it, but there is apparently something, I haven't seen it yet, but there's apparently something really funny about one zombie in particular. And those of you who have seen it or have kept up with the memes, you'll know what I'm talking about. I think it's hilarious, and that might be why it's tanking a little bit, because it's a horror film. And not that horror films are family friendly, but it's like when you see certain nudity, it's like, So I wonder if that's adding to it. But just a little side tangent there. Anyway, second, 28 Years Later. Finishing third in another debuting film is Disney Pixar's Elio, coming in third with 21 million in its domestic opening, 35 million globally. Those numbers aren't bad for any other animation, any other animated producer. However, for Disney and Pixar, that is the worst opening for Pixar ever. The film needed to make 300 million, or it needs 300 million over its lifetime to make any sort of money to break even, and it made 21 million domestically. Ooh. Audiences, for those who have seen it, they love it. They give it an A cinema score and a 91% on the popcorn meter, those are insane numbers. And this is the second we've seen that. I cannot remember who recently was it Ballerina? Yes, it was Ballerina,
Yes.
the John Wick spinoff. That film recently. Also, when people go see it, they love it, but not many are going to see it.
Yeah.
So, intriguing. Finishing fourth is Lilo and Stitch. In its 5th week in theaters, we talked about again, the live action remakes are here to dominate, earned 9.7 million domestically. The film has earned so far domestically 386.7 million, and a total tally global 910. 40 million, or maybe a little more, a little less, behind a Minecraft movie. So this might be your number one after maybe a month or not a month, but a week or two. And finishing 5th is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Also in its 5th weekend in theaters, it just squeaks by Materialist for 5th, pushing out and I guess we'll have some comments about that, but the rom-com, not so rom-com film for that top 5 spot, bringing in 6.6 million with a domestic total of 178.4 million and an international or global tally of 540 million. So that's another one. It's another top 3 or 4 film this year. That film is doing insane numbers overseas. We say it every week. So while 6.6 is not a great weekend for theaters, it's killing in China and it's killing overseas. So anyway, that is your top 5. Another quick note, Materialist again pushed out. It is 6th. Ballerina continues to slide all the way down to 7 or 8. Other than that, do we have any thoughts about any of these films in the top 5 or beyond?
I'm surprised that 28 years later is getting such harsh reviews, because that feels like a bit of a cult following. And also, I watched the trailer for it, and it's so good and
Yeah.
cinematic and well produced. Everything's seamless, and it seems gripping, really. And the fact that people aren't liking it, it makes me curious. Like, what is actually in it that people aren't enjoying?
Yeah. So I try to, with a lot of these, I try to like, it's kind of hard to not run across spoilers while also or covering the thing that is spoiling.
Right.
So I try to do this thing of like cognitive dissonance, where it's like I see that but I don't take it, but I'll talk about it. So
Yeah.
what I can say is, while I don't know what happens, there is a spoiler or not a spoiler, a plot twist at
Mm.
the end of 28 years later that audiences are divided on.
Do tell.
So I don't, that's the thing, I don't know. I
Oh, okay.
This is what I'm saying, is like I try to keep my distance. It's like I've seen that. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is, but so that might be adding to that. Is like audiences are like, I don't like the way that went. And what's troubling too is that there's supposed to be 2 more films in this franchise, at least this trilogy.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like that will be, by the time they're done, if they continue, because who knows, that the way this film goes might depend on like how the second one, if it's
Right.
even made. If there are 3, that would make 5 Danny Boyle 28-week later franchise films, which is
Yeah.
a
Right.
crazy number.
Are
So
you planning on going to see it?
yes, there is a chance I see it tomorrow, actually, but I'm very excited to see it, and I will definitely give my opinions when I see it. But
Hmm.
right now, I'm very intrigued by 28 Years Later as well.
Me too. Let me know how you like it. I'm like Jake over here because I'm filling in for Jake. I'll go ahead and play him. I hate zombie stuff.
Yeah,
I was so enthralled after watching the trailer that I would probably go and watch it myself. So that's why I'm just like so flabbergasted
yeah,
that it did not do well. And here's the thing about Materialist. I'm not going to give a lot away. A lot of audience members were upset because it was not as it was marketed. It had some shocking negative undertones that,
yeah,
it was not a lovey-dovey rom-com like you think it would be, which upsets me. That's why I would assume it is already being pushed out so quickly.
yeah.
The top 5.
See,
So upsetting because it had the potential. You can see it in the trailer. You can see it
yeah.
in the clips.
I did. That's another one I will definitely be seeing. I might see that one this week as well. And the thing about Materialist that made me interested in, if you remember when we were talking about the trailer a number of weeks ago, it was like it
Mhm.
looked like, yes, it looks like a typical romance, like maybe comedy, but like it was interesting. It was like, okay, like I love Pedro Pascal, I love Chris Evans, Dakota Johnson's
Yeah.
a great talent. It's like, where will this go? This is an interesting setup about like it's your typical like money or like I don't even know what you call it. Like, yeah, yeah,
Connection.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like she has a connection with Pedro, but he's wealthy, but also she had this fling that she was obviously very strong with Chris Evans, who's the waiter that you see. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It was
okay,
fun.
yeah, these guys are all every talent is just immense.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm interested. I'll see where this goes because it looks like it could be twisty, but not that way. And so like that's like it's odd that it's so like that it could go that route, and like it's
Yes.
abuse is what I've heard, is like that, like they
Yes.
don't warn about the potential like abusive tendencies of certain characters. Again,
No.
I don't know who, but
And I saw this tease where the director was talking about the film while we saw clips of it across the screen. And because the director herself used to be a matchmaker, and that's how
yeah,
this film began. And she was describing her experience, and then she ended that with saying, "And I just want to make films be what people want to watch. I want to make movies that people want to watch and connect with."
yeah,
And I'm like, that's wild, man, because people
yeah,
aren't liking to watch that. Like, people aren't. A family isn't gonna want to go see that. A couple isn't gonna want to go see
yeah,
something that looks sweet. And like, you start to think, like, is this a marketing? Like, is this purposeful?
yeah.
Like,
I
to bring people in when it
I'll
was not.
be intrigued to watch it because I have
Same.
heard, but like I've heard those same critiques, but yeah, it's interesting.
I will also say, my sister, who knows everything about film ever, huge Pedro Pascal fan. As like, how can you not be? It's Pedro Pascal. But she said the way he looks in the trailer, there's I don't know if it's like a secret about him or something, but it's something they reveal and have him do or say that is the cringiest thing. ever, and she said that she had to stop watching it because she's
Yeah.
not letting Pedro Pascal be painted like that in her mind. So
Yeah.
maybe a lot of other people are watching it and they're like, "Why did you do that to poor Pedro?" I don't.
Yeah. Interesting. And
Yeah.
something, so another thing too, getting off of Materialist is going to Elio. It's interesting to see that film flop so hard in its first weekend. But something we talked about last week too, and I know that was kind of like a sudden transition, but I don't want us to run over time.
Yeah.
Something interesting about Elio is me and Jake discussed it last week. Is you look at this top five, and there are three films pulling from the same demographic, three big films.
Yeah.
Pixar is not a small entity for Elio. Lilo and Stitch, Disney's high on their live action remakes, and then How to Train Your Dragon, which is Universal and DreamWorks kind of stance to say, Disney, you don't monopolize this industry with that in that
Yeah.
genre. So it's like those three films are all the family friendly. Like bring your kids, bring your like extended family, bring your mother-in-law, whatever. So it's
Yeah.
like the fact that all three are pulling from each other, and we almost called this to a T actually, but I never would have guessed that Elio would finish third and fall as hard as it did. I really would have thought that 28 years and Elio would have been back to back battling it out for that second spot. But really, How to Train Your Dragon dominated the whole chart. But 28 years is right there. 37 to 30 million anyway between How to Train Your Dragon and 28 years.
I'm wondering if it because like you're thinking like when people are in the theater, maybe with their family, you can movie hop. People do that all the time. They go from movie to movie. There's not a lot about it in the name or the poster that's directly pulling people to here. I'm gonna pull this back up. The
Yeah.
box office stuff, you can see the poster. There's it. I don't know. Like it's
Yeah.
not very telling, I guess, of what the movie's about. It's not really going to draw people's attention, and maybe that has something to do with it because people are liking it when they see it, but people aren't
You know,
directly going to look at it.
yeah, it's I think it's probably a marketing problem because I've only seen the trailer that we saw on the show. But also, like, I didn't really start seeing a lot of it until like this past week. And I only know very little. I know the
Yeah.
most basic like story synopsis I can give just off the top of my head is it's like a kid, and I know that the director felt this way growing up on a military base because he's in a military family. So he was like, he felt a connection to like outer space, and he wished aliens would abduct him so at least he'd have somebody.
Mm.
And it's like that's like the idea. And I know Elio gets abducted. That's like the whole thing is that like he gets abducted, he makes friends with, according to the trailer that we saw, he makes friends with the son of the alien that's like the king alien of the abductor, and the son alien and Elio are like the same where they're both outliers, and that's how they connect, right? So like it looks very cute. And as we talk about, audiences love it. I mean, and 91% on the popcorn meter. Like
Mm.
I would trust the popcorn meter a lot, like so fast before I trusted the tomato meter. Because
Yeah, because they're
critics,
real people.
as we talked, critics are very snobby sometimes.
Yeah.
As a film dude myself who does critique, I know I can be. I'll fully expose myself. I saw the first Terrifier, about 30 minutes of it, and I said, "This is stupid," and I turned it off. And now it's like it is the one of the biggest. It's like the current. It's like the current Jason or Michael Myers, right? Like it's like that. So I will tell you, I'm no better. But it's also like what's awesome about the popcorn meter and about like cinema score is that it's like real people's reactions, and so
Yeah.
you can trust that. So I don't know. I worry about the lifeline of original content because Elio's very original and it's flopping. I hope Gato, the 2026 or 7, the hand-drawn 2D animation from Pixar, I hope that does so well because then that might be the end of that. If like really that will be such a dip in creativity if that flops.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to hit up on Elio for that purpose really is to say how
Yeah.
sad. Looking forward, before we move on from box office numbers, F1 the movie starring Brad Pitt and Megan 2.0 both release on Friday. We predicted last week. I want us to do it again because I think that's fun. What do we think the box office top 5 will look like a week from now?
Let me pull it up. What is the Brad Pitt one about?
F1. Formula One racing movie. Like I know, like from the trailers I've seen, it's typical. Well, it's not here, but
I know.
sorry.
We're stacking.
But yeah. So I would say typical. Think typical like race movie, but it's like older guys like I'm gonna hop to F1 and I've been told I can't do it and I'm gonna do it, and then he has like an underling who he's got to train, that kind of thing, and it's like they've bond or whatever. That's what it looks like. And then Megan 2.0, I have worries about that because I actually saw the first Megan and I thought it was so close to being great. A lot of people love it.
A lot of people hate it.
I've seen a lot of people love Megan, and I thought it was until the very end because it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and then when it gets to the end, the rug is pulled and then it just falls. Like it does. There's no like real resolution. Like that's how I feel about Megan. Is it's like, okay, this is a cool concept because like the idea for those who haven't seen it, like you have AI doll made by so long. I should backtrack. Parents die. Older sister who is like 10 years older, maybe more than her youngest sister, has to raise her sister. Older sister's a tech genius and is like, oh, my sister's lonely. I'm going to make the coolest toy known to man because she works for a toy company. Yeah. For whatever reason, she's like an engineer of like the highest degree and she works for a toy company. But she's like, I'm going to make this, I'm going to make the best AI doll that's like, it's like the next step in the evolution of like the childhood doll. Mm-hmm. And she makes Megan, and Megan becomes sentient. And because her programming is like protect and love my sister. Yeah. And she takes that way too seriously. And she goes on like killing spree, trying to protect. I think the sister's name's Katie. And that's like the whole point. But it was kind of scary. Like it was funny at points, but it was also like, oh, that's creepy. Because kids doing things that kids shouldn't do in that sense. And we'll talk about when we get to weapons later in the trailer section. I'm so excited to talk about that. We'll talk about this a little bit more. But it's creepy, but it also was kind of funny. But again, it's campy. It falls off a cliff. I was like, man, this could have been great, but it's not. Yeah. Megan 2.0 looks more silly. It looks more like the whole point is like she's back, but like it's like early 2000s like Britney Spears level of like that. It's giving me that same like aesthetic. So it's like she's fighting another AI that was made that wants to, for whatever reason, that wants to kill Katie and her older sister. And so her older sister's like, I'll just make Megan again. And she like brings her back and is like, but like in like a small little thing. And she's like, I'll build you a body if you protect us and you can't kill anything else. And she's like, okay. So, but it looks more silly. I don't know. It just, I'm worried about that, but that's not why what we're talking about. We're not talking about our worries about Megan. Our top 5, I'm going to say How to Train Your Dragon is going to finish first again.
I agree.
I think, does 28 years, hold on a second. I don't know because people don't like it enough.
I know.
I've seen a lot of hype around Megan. I'm going to make a call here. Mission Impossible and Lilo and Stitch are dropping out of the top 5, and I'm going to put Megan 2.0 finishes second, and F1 finishes third, and then it goes Elio, or no, 28 years and then Elio. So How to Train Your Dragon, Megan, F1, 28 years later, and then not Lilo and Stitch, Elio 5th. That's my top 5 for next week. That's my prediction.
Dang. I have How to Train Your Dragon F1.
Wow.
Elio 28 years later, and then I'd have Megan in 5th because I have no idea who you're talking to. Everyone that I know that watched Megan was like, what is this? That's the weirdest.
It's odd.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm interested. I think Megan will finish pretty high. Just because I've seen a lot of hype for it. I mean, like they've got popcorn buckets with Megan's head on it, or Megan's head is the popcorn bucket. I've at this local Cinemark. So yeah. I think it's getting a lot of, if nothing else, marketing will get it there. At least in my mind. Now, it will be a battle between F1 and Megan, but yeah. I don't know. I just don't think F1's a very interesting premise. I'm not a huge Brad Pitt fan either. I think he's a great actor, but anyway, I think that's a great end to our first segment. So, coming up after the break, Netflix becomes the very thing it swore to destroy. John Bernthal returns to the MCU, and AI remakes of classic movies? All coming up next. Hello, and welcome back to Beyond the Screen. You made it to segment 2, which is always major media news. So, you heard my joke. You heard my Star Wars pun. Netflix has turned to the dark side. They're adding live cable broadcasting in France. Big caveat.
In France,
Yeah.
parentheses.
It's read the fine print. It's not here. It's in France. But they are adding live television in all its glory, cable broadcast to the app. They have officially struck a deal with TF1, which is the largest cable television provider in the country of France, to integrate their live channels onto the platform starting in the summer of 2026. French viewers will now be able to see the latest Netflix original, their daily soaps, their live sporting events, and more without leaving the Netflix app, which is kind of genius, but also it's like Netflix marketed themselves as like, we're not cable. I digress. This content also includes content from TF1's on-demand subscription platform, which, if you can imagine, is called TF1 Plus, because what is cable or subscription services without Plus?
Right.
So Netflix co-CEO Greg Peters comments, stating, quote, "This is a first-of-its-kind partnership that plays to our strengths of giving audiences the best entertainment alongside the best discovery experience." TF1 Group CEO Rodolphe Belmer, echoes this sentiment, stating, quote, "As viewing habits shift towards on-demand consumption and audience fragmentation increases," which I think is an interesting way to put that, "this unprecedented alliance will enable our premium content to reach unparalleled audiences and unlock new reach for advertisers within an ecosystem that perfectly complements our TF1 or TF Plus platform." According to Netflix, because I didn't know a lot, this is all from Netflix's press release regarding the not merger, but the agreement. They went in depth to describe what TF1 was. And according to them, quote, "TF1 builds sustainable business models to deliver quality, free-to-air entertainment and news to French-speaking audiences." This isn't free to air anymore. You're paying for a Netflix subscription. They're like,
this
yeah.
is not surprising.
They're like, yeah, you're gonna if you have. So the idea is that like if you have a Netflix account, when they integrate that content, you'll just have it.
Yeah.
But like the next step is it gets off cable. You know, like it gets off free. So you have to. I just love that, like, because it's so like oxymoronic, right? It's like, we partner with this free to play, cable news and entertainment network, but you have to buy our monthly subscription for $7.99.
Yeah.
I think this is hilarious. I think this is one of the funniest things I've seen in a really long time, because it's just like, what is life and what is society if not in a circle? Everything just comes back around. We've seen it with sports, with the merger that was supposed to happen. I think that's dead now. I might have missed that, but like last year, ESPN, NBC, and maybe Max or whatever, like TNT, were supposed to come together for one big sports thing, and I'm sure that's dead now. But it's like, cable. They had an agreement in place. And now Netflix is like, they've been doing this for a long time, though, because now they're in, not only are they in the NFL with certain games, with certain like holiday games, but also the WWE, which is a live broadcast, is now exclusively Monday Night Raw. Their flagship television production is exclusive to Netflix now.
So you literally have to pay for a Netflix subscription if you want to watch that. Yeah,
if you want to watch Monday Night Raw and watch their storylines, because the way that pro wrestling, it's theater but in a ring, right? Like it is just theater. If you want to watch those storylines specifically on their biggest show, you have to get Netflix. And so now Netflix is like dipping their toe into cable. They're like, hey, TF1, why don't we just have it on our stuff?
Yeah, just come over here.
What I will say, and this, I promise I'll get off my soapbox, and I'll finally allow you to get in a word, because I have a lot of opinions about this. If this wasn't Netflix, and if this was anybody else, I would say this is genius, because Netflix, again, I led with what I led with. They became the very thing you swore to destroy, because that's literally that was their marketing for a decade or more.
Yes.
Ditch cable. And now they're like, cable, we have cable. It's just like, it's not a bad business model at all. Like the thought about staying in the app, it's like, oh, I want to watch, like recently I watched the Trainwreck documentary about Rob Ford, the mayor in Toronto, from 2010 to 2014, crack addicted mayor, doing crazy stuff, complicated figure. If I could watch that and I turn around and it's like, oh, the NBA's on, and I could just do, like, that'd be cool. But also it's like,
What happened, buddy?
Yeah, it's so like anyway, please take the reins from me. Go.
I miss when Netflix was Netflix way back when there was no Netflix originals and they had like shows that people watched and enjoyed. And then they got rid of everything people watched and they were like, "Hey, while you're subscribed, look at the things that we're creating." And then that's what it became. And then now we've done like a full circle and now we're like putting back in things that people would watch on cable. So
Dude.
I think it's them trying to, it's like the parent that tries to stay cool and trendy with their kids and their kids' friends. They're like, look, I can be cool. I can do the thing too that everyone else is doing. And it's just,
Oh
it
yeah.
looks bad. I don't know. That's just, I fear what Jake predicted a couple episodes ago is truly happening where here all of these streaming services are obviously leaving cable and then they're all trying to join together until we are going to come full circle and everything is going to be cable again, basically.
Yep, 'cause this is exactly. Think about it like this. What's going to happen? So say TF1 or yeah, TF1. They're like, "You know what? We're a cable provider. We'll always be free on cable if you want that. But we could make a lot of money if we just sold our license to our shows to other platforms too." So it's like now all of a sudden I'm going to use I'm not I'm not well versed in the streaming services from France. So I'm just going to use the American. Sue me, I'm sorry. Let's like we're going to go up to Max and say, "Hey, we'll have the same deal that Netflix has, so you can do the same thing in our region, so people can decide based on what shows they like outside of our cable provider." They can do the same thing to Disney, and like they could do all this. And what that creates is something called cable providers, right? So we had like when I was growing up, it was Dish, it was DirecTV, Time
Right.
Warner Cable, and it was like you had all these different options, but they had the same channels, but it was like packages and things that you got.
Right.
Dish gave you internet, it's like you got all this stuff. That's what's just going to happen. It's just going to be repackaged and sold differently. It's going to say that it's going to be the same thing. It's like, oh, I can watch TF1. That is how these legacy brands, like let's not talk about NBC, which has Peacock, right? Let's not talk about, which you're seeing it already, but I digress. Like we're not talking about ABC, which has Disney. We're talking about like I'm thinking like USA, the channel USA,
Yeah.
CBS. I know they technically have Paramount, but let's think of all these different brands, right? I'm trying to think of other like television, what is that one that plays Snapped? What is that? What is that channel? I'm blanking.
This is where Jake would fill in
Yeah,
here.
yeah. He'd just be like, "Oh," and I'd be like, "How do you know that?" But
Yeah.
it's
He-
like Oxygen. That's such a niche.
That's what I was going to say.
That's such a niche channel, I know, but I liked watching Snapped growing up. But anyway, it's a true crime doc like show. Or Investigation Discovery, which is HBO technically or Warner, but same thing, same deal. The way that they're going to survive is they're going to say, "I will sell my package. I will not run anything different. I'm just going to put myself on that. I'm going to put myself on all these different streamers, and it's just gonna be cable."
It's just going to be cable.
So yeah, that's where we're at. We're like, so like if we started here in the circle, it's just super slow. We're like here.
Yeah.
We started here. We have wrapped around. It's like cables or streamers are better. Then it's like, movies are dying. Now it's like might get back to cable.
We're cable in denial right now.
Yeah.
They're like, it's not cable, it's a subscription package. You don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about, and it's basically cable.
Don't you want to watch all your stuff at the same time for one small fee?
What they're doing is they're waiting until the generation is young enough where they don't remember cable, and they're like, this is a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And then they'll buy into it.
Is it so? I feel so old that I know this stuff. I remember flipping through Dish, and you like Anyway,
Kids nowadays, they don't know that. They have only known streaming services. That's insane.
Why didn't you just binge it?
Binge?
Yeah.
You wish you had binge back in my
Yeah.
day. You had to wait each week and sit in front of the TV with
Yeah.
a little dinner waiting for your show to come back on.
Dude, if you were busy at Sundays at 8:00, you just missed an episode.
Yeah.
Sucks to suck.
Until DirecTV let you record it, that was a nice feature.
Yeah. And yeah.
I digress.
I digress.
I also digress.
We will move on after our discretions. The next topic of discussion classic Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and more kung fu films to get remixed through what is being labeled AI revitalization. Hang on to your seats, because this is a wild one. In an announcement at the 27th Shanghai International Film Festival, a host of major Chinese film studios announced that they are using AI to remake around 100 classics from the genre previously stated, so kung fu films. Films that we know to be getting this treatment include Bruce Lee's Fist of Fury, Jackie Chan's Drunken Master, and Sui Hark's Once Upon a Time in China. If you know anything about this genre, if you like the kung fu genre, those are like three of the most classic that you could ever get, right? They're remaking them with AI. An example of what this will look like comes from a, quote, reimagining of John Woo's 1986 crime thriller called A Better Tomorrow. The original synopsis, because it's important to understand what the film is originally. It's live action. That is vital to what I'm about to say. The live action original from the 80s is stated as follows from just Google. Quote, an ex-gangster in Hong Kong tries to reconnect with his estranged policeman brother, but he finds that his ties to gangs are harder to break than he thought. Very gritty, very like mob-esque, right? According to the Hollywood Reporter, they viewed the trailer for what this AI remake will look like. This turns the gangster into a cyberpunk and is being called, quote, the world's first full-process AI-produced animated feature film. Animated feature film.
That's interesting.
The announcement was led by China Film Foundation chairman Zhang Pimen, who described this initiative as, quote, not only film heritage, but also a brave exploration of the innovative development of film art. How do we think this innovation, if we want to call it that, whatever we want to label it as, if you're for it or against it, this innovative approach, how will this impact domestic creators?
As an umbrella, AI is completely diminishing and erasing any form of creativity, period. You know how many people are going to lose their jobs because of this? Like, they don't need to work anymore because AI's got it covered.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents there.
I'm intrigued in a sense because I think I love, and me and Jake have beat this dead horse. I mean, we have gone in depth about this very thing, and it feels like every episode something happens and we're talking the same point.
Yeah.
AI as a tool is amazing. Like we like full transparency, like we use it to help with certain organizational structures for our not the script, but like the description or like all that fun stuff. Like we use it because it's a benefit, right? Like instead of having to retype everything, we can pull what we need to pull. We put it in the description. We rewrite everything around it, and it's just a nice tool, right? Like I use it for my day-to-day job when I'm not a graphic designer, but when I need inspiration, it's nice to have something to bounce ideas off of. You know, it's not creating things for us. It's taking words we already wrote or an idea we already had, and it's saying, hey, here's a cool idea. We talked about that ad nauseum at this point, right? The idea that John Woo, for example, we're going back to the film, right? Going back to, let me remind myself what the film's title was. A Better Tomorrow. We're going back to this a classic in the genre, right? Prime 1980s kung fu film. Gangster, just think about that noir, like almost modern noir.
Yeah.
And you just make it something else just for the sake of it. You throw it into this machine and you say, I want it to be cyberpunkian. I want it to be steampunkian. I want it to be a comedy now. And it's like, you think about all that hard work. I don't know. It's like, this goes too far. I think when I first started reading this, I went in thinking, because when I read the headline, which from the Hollywood Reporter, I'll tell you exactly how the headline reads, if it will ever, so from the Hollywood Reporter, written by Matthew Scott, Chinese studios plan AI-powered remakes of kung fu classics from Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and Jet Li. I thought, the way I read that was, they're taking the old films and they're just giving it like a facelift. They're not changing it. They're saying, AI, we want this to look like it was filmed on a red in 4K. Or in 8K or whatever. Like we want like get rid of some of the graininess, even though that adds to the kind of the romanticism of it, right? But like it's like we want this to look a lot better. Like maybe make some of the action scenes a little bit more intense. Maybe because there was a lax moment somewhere. Whatever, right? Just I thought that's what it was going in, and I was going to say, you know what? That's actually kind of cool because that think about like that youth that would look at that graininess of that film from the 70s and onward, or before even, and say, whatever. But then they look up and they see the same film and it looks like something that was made today. That's like, oh, that's a whole new audience. That art is it's allowing itself to have more breath, right? But then you get down to that point and it's like, oh, now what was a mob film, super realistic, super down to earth, this guy, like your crime thriller, he's now cyberpunky it. Now he's gonna Blade Runner. This is just Blade Runner now. And
it's not the same story.
No. And it's just that's where I'm like, what? Because it's just it's like you're so close to being cool. Like you're so close to like this is actually beneficial to cinema history. You take these old films and you make them look better so that audiences will go towards them because some people don't like the old film look. I get it. And like that I would agree with. I would be like, you know what? I'm here.
I can understand.
Yeah. As long as you're not changing too much, I can completely support that. But like they're taking like it's interesting that these Chinese film executives are saying, okay, we see what the rest of the world is worried about. We're going to prioritize that, and that's going to be our industry. It just makes you wonder what cinema globally will look like in 10 years with this now.
There's not going to be any, like, if you're thinking of all of the things that not only AI can do, but what we're using AI for to generate ideas, to write things for us, and now we're using AI to animate everything. There's your whole entire movie industry. You're not going to have your writers, you're not going to have your designers, you're not going to have your animators because it's completely covered. People so many people are going to get out of jobs, and it's like it comes. Here's the thing that worries me. It comes to this question of like what's ethical and what's not. But since this is such an integrated part of business now, people aren't thinking about ethics, they're thinking about competition. Well, they're doing it, so we gotta. They're doing it, so we have to do that. They're integrating, so we need to integrate it. And they're not thinking, is this the right thing to do as humans?
Yeah, right. And
they're putting so many people out of jobs, and it's going to continue to do that. Now, look at Duolingo on TikTok. There's their social media specialist gone because they're having AI take over. Do you know what I'm saying? People they're losing jobs over this. And it's over the sake of competition.
Yep. It's terrifying. It is
actually so scary. I try not to think about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to seem like my conspiracy theorist mother. That I'm like, robots are taking over the world. But it's like, it's kind of seeming like it could go down that route. No offense, Mom. I love you.
Hi, Emily's mom. But yeah, I'm in a same frame of mind. It is partly devastating, but also like again, going back just a few months, the Academy made it a thing where now you have to put in how much. Like you're not eligible for awards if your AI usage goes over a certain point. Of like, so if your film was made 50 or more percent, it's less than 50, but it's like, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but it's like if the film was 50% or more made, or the script was written 50% or more by AI, you're ineligible for awards. You have to like allow everyone to know it was used with AI.
How can you prove that?
But also it's like we're already at this, like what I'm happy about, and now this gets back to your point, like both of these things are to your point. I'm happy that the highest level of, and it's all competition or a popularity contest at the end of the day for the Oscars. But the fact that the highest honor in America you can get for like awards went that route of ethic and say, hey, just tell us, right? Like it has to be mostly human, but let us know because we're not going to dock you if you used it a little bit, as long as we know you're still eligible for award. Like that's cool. That's a line that you like to see. But then to get to your point, the competition, now the Chinese market is completely changing the game.
Now what? Now you can't have those rules. And we have to compete with that.
I so want to emphasize that we're American, but we're not like them Chinese. Like we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're just saying this is crazy because and this is just a matter of fact. They're changing the whole landscape just got leveled. Like everything is different now. And so while it is scary, if it stops there, it won't. But if it stops where we've already explained about just like, hey, let's just give this a facelift, I would be on board. If we stopped at use it as a tool, I'm there. But yeah, you know what's going to go first? What's going to be sad? People are freaked out about writers. They're freaked out about directors and actors. It won't be any of those, and I'll tell you why, because it's already happening. What position is going to go first? The editor. The
Yeah.
editor is Jake is an editor. If I were anybody in the industry that would be freaked out, it'd be the editor. Because think about what content creators, it's already here. What are content creators using to edit their videos? They're throwing it into CapCut. And they're saying, CapCut, cut me this out.
Yeah.
It's already happening. So at what point, in 5 years, when AI gets to a point to where you can use it for whatever you want,
there'll be like an editor supervisor just be like, yep, looks good, thanks AI.
And a director throws it into a computer with a big server and says, here's my footage. Here's my footage. I want this feel. I want this actor to be in this position. Here's the ending. Go. Just like a chat GPT prompt. They shoot it in. The prompt or the whatever service says, okay, pops it back out maybe an hour, maybe 5 minutes, maybe less. And it's like the editor's gone. Because I think while the Google VO, or I think that's what it's called, wow, that looks great. It's still going to take a long time for that stuff to look absolutely fantastic to get rid of the actor, right? And the director, you still need, I think there's some level of human that you need in there still to make that go. But so while it's rightful to be scary about AI writing our stories, acting and directing them, the editor is going to be the first to go, and they're the unsung heroes of any film, and you're not going to hear about it until after they're gone. Yeah. And so, spooky.
It is quite scary.
So that is going to be the end of that story. I will say I did skip one, and I'm sorry. I did not mean to skip over one. I'm kind of happy we did, though, because the order was better the way I put it. So our final story of this segment, before we go on to segment 3, Jon Bernthal is set to join Spider-Man Brand New Day cast, marking the return of the Punisher. So after portraying the mercenary in a collection of TV shows, both before and after an MCU integration, Jon Bernthal will officially be making his big screen MCU debut alongside Tom Holland in the next installment in the Spider-Man franchise. With the story still unknown, including unsubstantiated rumors of around 12 different villains potentially appearing, and I say that not to mean 12 villains will be in the film. It's been rumored that there will be a singular villain 12 different times with different characters. While also talking about potentially a rampaging Hulk, so Bruce Banner loses control of Hulk again. All those things have been thrown about. Nothing's been substantiated. But now we know that the Punisher will for sure be in the story, and it points towards a more grounded Spidey, which is what the end of the last film pointed to when everyone forgot who he was, and it was like he, in his own place, restarting his life, sewing his own suits, no Tony Stark to fund him in the backing. It's just Spider-Man. Now a Punisher included with that ending in the last one. It does seem like they're going to go more of that grounded route, which is what a lot of people like. Another thing we do know, or a couple of things we do know, Zendaya and Jacob Batalon will return as MJ and Ned, but with their memories, as we just described, wiped, how much will they actually contribute to the story? No one knows. The other major official casting that we know of in this moment is of Stranger Things star Sadie Sink, whose character is also unknown. We're not sure who she's going to play, but she's in it. Gwen Stacy? Question mark? I don't know. The filming begins this summer in England, and the film currently has a July 31st, 2026 release date. So, with that, I know, Emily, you're not as well-versed in the MCU or in Spider-Man. It's just not your cup of joe. But I'm curious what you think about this news and potentially what this could mean.
I like Sadie Sink, and I think she's a great actress, and I would love to see her play in this. I think it'd be really cool to see her do a little superhero sci-fi vibe.
Yeah.
Well, she already did kind of sci-fi, superhero sci-fi vibe.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty rad. That's all I know. I've never seen Spider-Man or anything else, so.
Everyone at home went, oh!
Yeah. You haven't seen Spider-Man? It's kind of ridiculous how much I don't know about film when I was a broadcasting student and I'm running a film podcast.
It would be fun if we were in front of an audience. Like, you seen that meme where it hard cuts and everyone in the audience is like,
they're going,
yeah, everyone like gasps or covers it. That everyone was like, I've not seen Spider-Man. Everyone's like, yeah.
That would be us.
Yeah, and we'd be like, hey, settle down, leave her alone.
Okay, guys, calm down.
All right, yeah, but I would be interested to see, like, I don't want the typical Gwen Stacy because she's kind of a damsel in distress in a lot of ways. The only real time, I will say in The Amazing Spider-Man, Emma Stone's portrayal was a lot stronger and she was more independent, but she still
Yeah.
like the most heartbreaking death in all of Hollywood or cinema history was, or one of them anyway, was her death at the end of The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But at the end of the day, she was still very much a damsel. And what I mean
Yeah.
by that, and everyone's gonna know what I'm leaning towards, and they're like, "Oh, Beyond." Everyone's talking about Beyond the Spider-Verse. I want Spider Gwen. I want a live action Spider Gwen. Which so for the uninitiated Emily, um,
Mhm.
there are different iterations of, because they just redo comic books over and over and they just tell the different story. Where
Yeah.
Gwen Stacy, who potentially is who Sadie Sink could play, if now that's if no one knows. I'm just going off of whatever. Um, she is Spider Woman essentially, like she is like Spider Woman. That's in that iteration of that storytelling. We've seen it in the animated Spider-Man movies as of late, where Gwen Stacy isn't just damsel in distress; she's Spider Gwen or Spider Woman. And so I would like to see that. I'd like to see a stronger portrayal of a love interest with Spider-Man. The only other one we see is Catwoman, and
Yeah.
or no, is it Black Cat? I think her name's Black Cat in the Spider-Verse. I'm sorry, I
Oh.
forget that character because Catwoman's in the DC. That's right. They're the same
Yes.
character. They're the same character. Black Cat and Catwoman. Sue me. Sorry. New York-esque city with the hero and then a cat-themed lady that they have love interest in. Sorry, but Black Cat is like another one that he's flirted with, but it's like that. Like he always goes back to MJ or Gwen Stacy. So I would like to see Sadie Sink as Spider Gwen, and I would like to see a on the same level type of, if there's a romance, I guess, because that's they can't go, like, you can't have a hero movie without like a love interest. So it's like, if that's what you're going to do, I'd like to see that.
AI overview says Black Cat and Catwoman are not the same thing.
No, they're not. But like they're DC, and I already explained myself.
They're not the same character.
No,
Like,
but
they're not.
they act the same. Like, or they look like, like historically, Black Cat and Catwoman are just hypersexualized cat themed like anti-heroes.
Mm.
That's both their characters.
I'm gonna be using that for a social media video here soon.
No, please.
Yeah,
They're gonna
it's
call me
pretty
woke,
good.
Emily.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So the comic book fandom is gonna look at me and say, "You're wrong. How dare you?" And then the conservative side of the internet's gonna say, "How dare you woke
You-
liberal?" And
Yeah, you're not gonna be liked by either side.
and I'm just gonna sit here and be like, I
just like comic books.
Yeah. I like movies.
Yeah.
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I think with that, now that my career's over, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our final segment, which usually has more film news and trailers and what you should know. So, coming up after the break, we have directors vying to tell the next 007 story. Bruce Springsteen talks Deliver Me From Nowhere, and what you should know before you go. Stick around. And welcome back to Beyond the Screen. You've made it to segment 3, which is always, as I said before, we finish out the news from this past week and we let you know what you should know before you go. So as always, thank you guys for watching. I know we always get to the segment, I'm just like, oh, thank you. But seriously, like, the fact that we're here, the fact that I have Emily with me is just, I am just so thankful. Jake as well, when he finally comes back, when he comes back to me, when I get my hands on, I'm just kidding. But the point is, thank you so much just for allowing us to do this, because this is like a dream, right? Like, to be able to talk about movies. At some point, I really hope to do film reviews, and like we're talking about expanding the content a little bit. So you allowing us to come here every week, once a week, maybe more later, to talk about this and to vent and to just hang out as friends and just be ourselves and talk about this art that we love so much is just always so insane, especially that you've been here 54 minutes. So, as always, thank you. Share it with your mom and your family. Give us a like, a comment, subscribe, maybe follow if you're on Spotify. Also, we are on Apple. So whatever that, like, we just don't talk about Apple.
We don't talk about that often.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I looked at the metrics. The majority of our listeners that aren't on YouTube are on Apple, and I just don't talk about you guys. So thank you. You guys are loved too. I see you, little child over in the corner. You're not ignored. It's just been a long time. Sorry, Apple listeners. So thank you guys so much for listening, and watch us on YouTube. What
That's
are you doing?
That's going on socials as
No, stop it. I can't. This can't keep
you
happening.
little boy in the corner.
Mm.
You're not forgotten.
Anyway, this dude, they're gonna be like that liberal talk about kids. Anyway, we're
Get
gonna
him.
yeah, get him. They're gonna walk into a
They're
room.
gonna show up to our doors with pitchforks and
Yeah.
and
I'm gonna
and
walk
torches.
outside and they're just gonna be like,
They're
beat him up. Yeah.
yeah.
No.
How do you know where I live?
Yeah. How do you figure this out? I'm sure that they can deduce. Anyway,
Oh yeah, yeah.
we're gonna go and hop into now that I'm now that my career
Cancel.
my career is over. No internet, please. Anyway, we'll go ahead and hop into our first of two major stories before we let you guys go. Starting off in the land of Amazon and MGM and our favorite MI6 investigator, agent, detective guy. Major directors pitching their vision for James Bond to new 007 producers. It's happening. A lot of and these are not just any creators, storytellers, directors. These are some of the elites in Hollywood right now. Huge names are going up to new Bond producers, David Heyman and Amy Pascal of Sony and Spider-Verse fame, if you remember her. They're going up to her, or them, and have met with them, or going to meet with them for potentially their take on James Bond. Those directors include Conclave and All Quiet on the Western Front director Edward Berger. He's already met with the two for his take with Bond. Meetings with Dune director Denis Villeneuve and Baby Driver director Edgar Wright have yet to happen but are planned. And both of those, especially Edgar Wright, British royalty almost. The man is Edgar Wright's very popular over there, and they have to have a very prominent director. So Edgar Wright, I'm throwing in my hat, is my favorite right now. Also in the running is Jonathan Nolan of Westworld and Fallout fame. He's set to pitch, as well as Paddington and Wonka director Paul King, who interestingly has a long-standing friendship with David Heyman. So maybe that'll get him in the door. While it's already been 4 years since the latest Bond installment and over 3 since Amazon officially bought MGM, Pascal and Heyman seem to be taking a cautious approach towards the next installment. They're waiting to hire a director before even thinking about scripting and other forms of pre-production, despite Amazon's seemful anxiousness to get new content. And I put content in quotation marks because of Barbara Broccoli and her hatred for that word in terms of James Bond, for those who have watched this for a long time. So what do we think about the potential next era of James Bond? And with these names, the heavy hitters, who do we want and what do we think?
I feel like they're beating a dead horse. They're driving that into the ground. Like, I feel like this is like they need to let it go a little bit.
Ooh, interesting.
There's so many adaptations, and now they just announced a video game and they just won't let it go. So that gets exhausting. However, it seems like they're at least being creative with it, with the help of ChatGPT potentially, but they're getting creative with it. So I look forward to seeing how they can spin it even further without making it look like they're just
Yeah, I get it. Recreating the same movie.
yeah, like I feel like if they can pull it off and continue pulling that off, I'll be impressed.
Yeah, I will say so. Like I'm just your typical film guy, I guess. I love the Bond era. I love the transition from silly and campy to serious. I felt like that was the natural next step. It felt real, and like nothing against Pierce Brosnan, right? But like Daniel Craig is arguably the best Bond ever. And so it's hard to follow that up. And I think you had the correct point had it not been for MGM buying Amazon or buying MGM, right? If Amazon didn't buy MGM, I think that the right thing to do is to let it go, let the Craig era simmer and let the audience anticipation build while you slowly create this narrative. So like the whole time, again, if it was Michael Wilson and Barbara Broccoli, who, for those who don't know, they were the producers the creative team so Barbara Broccoli's dad helped create Bond, did the whole thing, handed it down to his children, Michael Wilson and Barbara Broccoli. They ran it until the end of, just this year, because Amazon finally bought them out after 3 years of owning MGM. That was the whole point. Amazon bought MGM. They also inherited the creative contracts for those two. They could not agree. That's why we're in the position we're in, because as I said earlier, content. Barbara Broccoli reportedly got really mad when someone from Amazon called James Bond content. And that's why they got pushed out. It was because they talked bad about Jeff Bezos, they talked bad about Amazon, and Bezos apparently was like, I don't care what it costs, get her out. And that is super villain moment. Jake loved it. That's exactly what happened. And so now we're in this new era to where that's just not going to happen. The entire reason, think about it like this: Jeff Bezos has so much money that he looked at an entire production company. MGM, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, is one of the most historic and old creative outlet and production houses that ever exists, right?
Yeah.
In terms of this medium. They looked at this outlet and they said, I'm going to buy that because I want one IP. I want James Bond, so I'm going to buy the entire production house that makes all of it. That's what he did.
Crazy.
Yes. So that's why they like, you will not get that. There will not be a wait because Jeff Bezos is like, this is my money house. We're going to make series. Everything that the Broccoli's and the creative team prior said, nah, we're not doing that. They said, we're a film. We're going to take our time. We're going to develop these films, develop these narratives. No series, no streamers. We're doing it.
Yeah.
They're now the opposite because now it's money. So,
yeah, he's getting his money's worth, basically.
So there will be a new one soon. And that's why the video game's a thing, is because they can't make the movie soon because I gotta reset. And so now, So go ahead.
Marvel doing the opposite right now, where they're doing
they're slowing
quality over quantity?
Yes. Because they learned the hard way that when you pop stuffs out like year after year, month after month, the quality goes down.
People don't appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes no sense. Yeah. And so now they're taking their step back. But the thing is that Marvel is so big and they come out with stuff, even they're tailored back is like a movie a year, which is like insane. Yeah. So it's like they are going to make their money, right? Yeah. They're rebooting the franchise so they can bring characters back, cast differently. So they could just keep doing this for the end of time, really. Bond is in a similar boat, but it was a lot more under the old regime. It was a lot more selective. It was a lot more, they were very precise about what they did. And now it's way different. Back to these creators and the question at hand, who do I want to see? As I said, I know I spoiled it. I think the whole point of Bond is that it's like a reoccurring thing. Like you can reinvent it as much as you want. Because again, you go back to what it was like Sean Connery to Pierce Brosnan. It was like very campy, very silly.
Yeah.
And then they brought in Craig and they went a different route, and it was great. I mean, every film, I don't care. Quantum of Solace is not as bad as people say. I'm sorry. I loved Quantum of Solace. Okay, so I don't think there was a bad film in the Craig era, and now I think you have to reinvent yourself again. And when I think of Baby Driver, I think that there's something there. I think that when I put think Bond in baby shoes, but make it a little bit more. You could take it whichever way. You want it to be a little bit more campy. You want it to be a little bit more serious. Edgar Wright can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, Shaun of the Dead, The Last Night in Soho, very different. You know, I love Edgar Wright and just the way he perceives and sees the film, the way his vision is in the story, the cinematography. So yeah. I think that, and I'm like, okay, what is the next step for a James Bond? Because you can't just do another serious take that just be Daniel Craig 2.0. You can't be Pierce Brosnan specifically and be campy again because people get mad. You have to reinvent, and I think Edgar Wright is so perfectly in the middle of those two that only his view, in my mind, of these creators that we've listed, Edward Berger's too serious. Conclave and All Quiet on the Western Front are very serious. I think Denis Villeneuve is very close. Dune is very good. That's more dramatic, but it's not quite so stone serious. I think that's probably a little bit closer than you want to go, and you can never go wrong with Denis. But I think Edgar Wright is so perfect in the middle of all that because he can do whatever you want him to do, but also his style is so unique. That's why I personally, nothing against Jonathan Nolan or Paul King. Paddington or Wonka. Really? I don't know.
You know what this reimagination reminds me of a long time running series of a bunch of serious men. Go ahead.
Is it Doctor Who?
It is Doctor Who. That's favorite. What it reminds me of. They're bringing it back to life, and they're like, how can we have this guy come back and be something that he's not? Yeah. Also, now that I mention it, Daniel Craig kind of gives me Christopher Eccleston vibes.
Yeah.
But that's That's beside the point. I digress. Um, yeah, I know my mom always said, when are they gonna let that poor man out of there? Referring to Daniel Craig, because they just keep casting him and casting him, like in the
Uh,
Knives Out as
yeah.
well. He's just in there.
I think he likes knives. Like notoriously, he did not like 007, but
Really,
he does like Knives Out. It's
that's a,
like they are very serious, and Knives Out. If anything, Benoit Blanc is very much like the American 007. Fun fact: that exact line is how Steven Spielberg got Harrison Ford to be Indiana Jones.
really.
Yeah, because Harrison Ford wanted to be 007 back in the 80s, but they told him, no, you're not British. And so Steven Spielberg was like, yeah, you have to be British to be 007. Like, you have to be. But Steven Spielberg was like, Harrison, what if I told you I was making the American 007? So think about that. Next time you're watching Indiana Jones, Steven Spielberg made that to be the American version of 007. I think that's so cool. Anyway, sorry, sidebar.
Interesting.
Yeah. But in the same vein, I think Benoit Blanc is a lot of that too. I think
Mm,
it's a lot. It's not quite campy, but it's more goofy.
yeah.
Like it's still very serious, but it's like lighthearted in the same breath, which I think is what is fun about that. And Benoit Blanc in a long draw is like I think it's probably just fun to do, but
Yeah.
also like I don't know. I get what you're saying. I don't know. I would just say get Edgar Wright in there. That's my case in point. End of story for me anyway. Is like let this unique creator create something unique.
Speaking of 007 and not letting this go, I don't know where I was going with that. It was supposed to be along the lines of, there really is no time to die because they won't let it die. That's all I have.
You just pulled the Michael Scott like sometimes I just talk. I don't know. I hope the
I just
words
try,
find. Yeah,
yeah,
I just
I
start
just try to
talking and I
find the
hope the
point.
words find. Yeah, that
Yeah,
is.
that's what it was. But it got there. It got there,
No,
and
you
that's what
did. You
matters.
did. You pulled it
Yeah,
off. I'm proud of you.
yeah.
But no, I get it. But No Time to Die was a masterpiece. I don't care. Anyway, we'll move on.
As a segue into that, Bruce
Oh,
Springsteen.
yeah. What is a great
Yeah.
segue, Emily? Fantastic. Hey, first, we have our first official look as Jeremy Allen White in Deliver Me From Nowhere with comments from Bruce Springsteen himself. So, in this first trailer, which we saw last week, we see White portray Springsteen in the time leading up to the creation of one of his most recognizable albums, Nebraska. The story is adapted from a 2023 novel of the same name by author Warren Zanes. When speaking with the Rolling Stone, Springsteen described how strange it was to see White recreating moments from such a personal time, calling these adapted moments in his life some of the most painful days of my life, quote unquote, emphasizing how he would have to take time away from set due to the difficult subject matter. So, as you can imagine, Springsteen was heavily involved with the production, as was his manager, John Landau, when he wasn't on tour, because he expressed in this interview that for the first month of set, he was touring in Canada, so he couldn't be there. But when he could be there, he had a lot of input. The legendary singer, with that input, had nothing but praise for film lead Jeremy Allen White, stating, quote, so the days that I got out there, he was wonderfully tolerant with me being there, and it was just fun. It was enjoyable. The film is written and directed by Scott Cooper and hits theaters October 24th. So, we'll talk a little bit more about the trailer itself in a second.
Mm.
What I want to ask is, what do we think about the latest in a long string of biopics, and will it be successful? Because some haven't.
I think it will. I mean, obviously, like the recent ones in recent years, what in the past like decade or whatever, they had. Tell me who they had. They had Queen. They had
Yeah, Bohemian
the
Rhapsody.
Elvis.
They had Elvis. They had Rocket Man, Elton John, Bob Dylan with
Yeah,
Timothée Chalamet last year, and now this. And technically,
yeah,
they did. This isn't the same thing, but they did Yesterday, where it was like the Beatles, where like the
yeah.
dude, like he somehow, I don't know, that film was kind of dumb, but the idea is like the film, like the biopic. That's not a biopic, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. That's in there too.
I think it would be successful. Lots of people love Bruce Springsteen, but also I feel like it's more successful when um, the well, he's a singer, Bruce Springsteen, but like when they are showing a vulnerable part of themselves and introducing that to the audience and being like, hey, actually, this was like very miserable for me. I feel like that helps the audience connect with them because it's
Yeah.
like they've known them for so long, anyways. Especially like this is probably catering to more of like an not like old, but like an older crowd because that's like who they grew up with and they already have that emotional connection.
Yeah.
And now they're seeing this like raw, open, and vulnerable part of Springsteen that they may have not known about before. I feel like that's going to be
Yeah.
successful. Also, the kiddos love Jeremy Allen White. Like, who would
They
want to go see that?
they do.
My sister probably has heard Bruce Springsteen's name once in her life, but she's gonna go see it because it has Jeremy Allen White in it, and she loves him. So
He is such a good talent. Like he doesn't
he's
even.
phenomenal.
I had this phrase that I have used, and it sounds derogatory, but it's not. It's actually the highest compliment I can give. Jeremy Allen White has rubber face. And what I mean by that is he can, like, when he takes a role, he morphs his face into that person. It's like, it is the biggest compliment I can give because it's like he has the ability not
Yeah.
just to portray, because, like, the big thing in acting, right, is like, are you playing that person or are you that person? Are you playing
Exactly.
that emotion or are you that emotion, right? Jeremy Allen White is one of those that he could just be.
He is them.
Yeah, and so I call it rubber face because it's like he can bend his, like, it's weird how like he can like morph into that person because
Yeah.
he doesn't necessarily look like it like Bruce Springsteen, but he will like I
But
just
he is him. He
in the
becomes
trailer,
him.
yeah, in the trailer you see his mannerisms, and the thing is too, it's like it's another story where he trained his voice and he sounds just like him.
That's so weird.
Yeah, and so it's like it's I don't think I think Jeremy Allen White is such a perfect casting for this. And I you talk yeah, I think you made the point exactly. Like it's so beautifully put. Just about like that vulnerability, right? And that's the best PR you can give this. Is like, look,
Yeah.
this was like it was so tough that like it was so real that I had to leave.
Yeah.
And like and what's cool though is like you have John Landau and you have Bruce Springsteen, right? And they're there and they're like, I don't want to overstep. I want them to create, I want to be involved because I want my story to be told right. But also it's like
Yeah.
allowing the creators to create is like, that is something I feel like I've harped on a lot for different reasons. But
Yeah.
this, seeing a creator of this stature, right? Look at something else in another medium and say, yes, this is my story, but I want you to be you. And
Right.
that is so inspiring and it's cool. Like it just like I like obviously it's Bruce Springsteen, but I he's not my type of music, so it's not like I like know of him very well. But like
Yeah.
my opinion of him went skyrocket when I read that because I was like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like that's really unique. So I hope it's
It-
successful. I've seen people already like give Jeremy Allen White the Best Actor award.
I would.
He might have it. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'll be
I
watching
can
it.
see it being very successful.
Yeah.
That's just my take.
When it comes out Halloween season, I'll be in theaters to see it.
Yeah.
I'm happy you'll be here, Emily, because this past year in season 1, which if you didn't know, we restart seasons every Oscar. So the Oscar is the end of our season. We started in November, so we'll be coming up on a year when this film comes out.
Mm.
That late grind of the year from probably October, November through March, trying to like the Oscar season, it'll be fun. And I think
Yeah.
this is a film that is displayed where it's at for a reason, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Right.
So we talked a lot about Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere. Now we'll talk about the trailer itself instead of just the narrative surrounding it. So we're getting into our trailer section. So historically, we have had a quick snippet. We're not doing that this week. We will just talk about the trailers that have come out, as you've seen on screen, which include Deliver Me From Nowhere, The Toxic Avenger, The Naked Gun, and the second trailer for Kreger's Weapons. So we'll talk about all 4 of them, talk about a little bit what we saw and which ones stand out to us. We've already talked a lot about Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. I want to go ahead and move on from that, other than this might be Jeremy Allen White's pitch for Best Actor.
Yeah.
Following that, The Toxic Avenger, starring Peter Dinklage, came out, the trailer for it. And it looks fun, man. I think it looks hilarious. It is a horror comedy. Emily, give me your opinion on what you thought from The Toxic Avenger. Nothing?
You go ahead.
No, it's just it looks like I should say the IMDb synopsis is quote, a janitor becomes a social outcast when a freak accident at a chemical factory turns him into a mutant. However, he soon uses his newfound superhuman strength to battle slimy criminals with a corrupt CEO. So it just looks like a lot of fun. It looks like it's tough to describe because it's like you have Peter Dinklage in all of his glory, and the whole point of the trailer is like your mom died and I'm trying my best. And he's like scraping off the burnt side of toast for his kid who he's making. He's like it's good bread if you scrape off the burnt side. And he's like he hands it back. And like the son's like there's a part where like this guy like throws out a cat, like he steals a cat and he throws it out of a moving car. And the
Yeah.
son, he's talking to Peter Dinklage, mind you, like he's like a janitor. He's acting all cowardly. And the son's like, "Why didn't you stop it?" And he's just like, "Son, sometimes it's good to just not get involved." And the son's like, "Ugh." And it's like kind of funny. And
Yeah.
then so like the best scene or the biggest scene is like so he falls in a vat of something, I don't know, a chemical factory. Like there's this moment where it's like really like almost 90s-esque where it's like it has Peter Dinklage, but it's like that 3D where it's like the multicolored silhouettes and it's a green outline. And it's like it's almost like when the Joker falls in the chemical vat and it like changes, but instead of just paint like looking like that, Peter Dinklage turns into a mutant. And this is a remake of a 1980s film, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
And he gets it's a mop that I guess he dipped in the same slime. And the biggest scene in that film, or at least in the trailer, he stops a robbery of like a diner by just beating people to death with this mop. But when he hits people, like there's one scene where he like swings it and the dude's jaw just breaks off, like blood everywhere. He's like whoop-ah! And it's just like And so there's another scene where he's like, "It's me, son," after he's turned into the mutant, he's all deformed or whatever. It's like, "It's me," and the son just like throws a brick at him and he like falls out the window. Like it looks really funny. It also says it's going to be unrated, which
Interesting.
which means it's going to have a lot. So I another interesting tidbit, this film was made in 2023, but it's just now getting a theatrical run or just a release run in general.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for this one because it looks funny. It's right up my wheelhouse. It is a little gory for a lot of people. They don't care, but
Yeah.
it just looks silly.
I think it's a nice, like, of course, old fashioned's not the right word, but like your OG kooky comic book. Of course, you said it was originally made in the 1980s, which makes sense. But like bringing that back and like revamping it a bit, it is, it reminds you of your childhood. It's kind of nostalgic in a way.
Yeah. Like there were dude like there's scenes where and it's weird because two of our trailers had the main character ripping a dude's arm off or two both are it's odd. We'll talk about the next one in a second. But it's like he like there's a scene in the trailer where like this dude so he falls from the window after his son pelts him in the face with what looks like a brick. He lands on this guy's car that's in an alleyway and the dude's like, "What the heck?" And he pulls out a gun and just shoots at him. Well, the bullet goes in and of course because he's now like a super mutant it like falls out. And he runs up to him and he just grabs his arm and he just yanks it off. And it's just like it just looks silly. It looks super campy. And so it's like I'm in for this. I just love the idea of like there's another scene where the son's like, "You didn't hurt anybody on purpose. It's self-defense." And Peter Dinklage is like, "Define self-defense." And it's like he's like ripping someone's head off or something. Like
See, I feel like that's gonna deter like I don't know, because like part of me thinks like, oh, it's like kind of like family, right? It's like a little Avenger movie, right? And then it's like that is going to deter like parents from wanting to
oh, for
take their
sure. Yeah.
teenagers to come see it. Or else, like, what about people who saw the original and like they really like it and they're like, why does everything have to be gory? Because it's like that age range
Yeah. Well,
thinks that usually,
was
anyways.
the original gory too? I don't know. That's like the
Probably
question, I
not.
guess.
I would say it was probably like a kooky, gory, like,
Yeah. I guess I could look it up.
oh, we're playing Jake.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know
I'm
what that
gonna
means.
look it up.
Yeah. The Toxic Avenger, 1984. It's calling it a franchise. A 98-pound nerd from New Jersey lands in a vat of toxic waste and becomes a benevolent monster. That's the trailer, or that's the synopsis. Okay. It looks relatively the same. It is rated R.
You wouldn't think something like that would be rated R.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly. I don't know. It reminds me of the guy from the Fantastic Four.
The Thing.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and the Hulk. Like it's just like they're just mutant fellas.
It,
Like they don't.
it's it is very silly looking. I looked up gore and I'm not finding any from then, but the original 1980s, it's so 1980s. It's the picture of this dude and he's holding, so it's this deformed like muscular guy, right? Like he's a mutant look, right? Like in 1980s mutant look. He's holding a mop and at the end is just green slime and behind him is the American flag. Just on
That is a choice. That's a design choice.
he's in like a tattered like shirt. Like
Yeah.
it looks kind of silly. It's like it's hand drawn and painted. So it screams 1980s. So yeah, I'm
I
excited.
love how you look up what is Toxic Avenger gore.
Literally nothing came up. Then I looked up 1980 Toxic Avenger 1984 gore and nothing came up, but this trailer came up.
Ryan's digital footprint hates to see him coming. That's so.
My FBI agent that watches me is like, what?
It's like,
Like, not again. No, but what I will say, the film also will feature Elijah Wood and Kevin Bacon. Why? You got Frodo in there.
very
He looks like
interesting cast.
He looks like the Penguin. He's like balding. He's got one. He looks like who played Danny DeVito's Penguin, but skinny. Like he's quack, like walking around. That's what he looks like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. I love campy, and I think it'll be hilarious. It doesn't look like it's. I mean, I have a thing against what I call gore porn, which is just like, let's just get so much blood, right? And this might bleed into that a little bit, and I might be a hypocrite for my opinion on that, but I think it looks funny, so I'm gonna
bleed into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Ah.
Anyway, knee slapper. Anyway, the next
Naked Gun.
Yes, that's it. Yes, that's where I was going. The next trailer we that came out this past week is the new 2025 Naked Gun. It is a sequel. It is not a remake, and it is starring Liam Neeson, and it looks great too. It looks so funny. Liam Neeson plays the son of Frank Drebin, if you can imagine Frank Drebin Jr. He is also a detective at the same police station that Leslie Nielsen played in the original, and it just got a lot of the same campy humor. Again, we're back to that 1970s, 80s, 90s humor being brought back. Again, we saw more of the same scene. We talked about it before. My favorite scene of all time from the trailer is this little girl walks into this bank robbery, and this guy's like, "What are you doing? What do you want, little girl?" And he like Mission Impossible releases, like pulls off the mask, and he says like "you" or something, and it's just Liam Neeson, it's Liam Neeson on like a little girl's body, and then it's like reverse shots to the criminal over Liam Neeson's shoulder, and you just see Liam Neeson growing out of the suit, and he just stands up, but the suit stays the same size, so he's wearing just this tiny little skirt and a shirt that's too small, and he just starts beating people up, and it just looks so funny. They did the Leslie Nielsen type of humor where they like take a chair, and Pamela Anderson just leaves with the chair, just walks out.
I love that.
It looks so good. It's just like, again, another great scene. They're in this. Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Have you seen the original?
Yes.
Okay,
I love them.
Continue. Yeah.
There's another one where like the very end of the trailer, they're trying to show, I guess, Drebin Jr. a smart car that's plugged in to like whatever, and he's like, drive 30, like hey car, drive 30 feet forward, and it did not unplug it from the smart charger, pulls off the wall, and they're on the side of a prison. The jail breaks open and everyone's running out, and he looks up into the rearview, goes, "This place is going to hell." It's just funny. Like it's like he had no idea. It's just like I know, like I sound like a dweeb right now, but it's like it's
hilarious.
It looks great, and it's like I can't believe when I first saw the teaser, I was like, it's so perfect because it's still Liam Neeson, like, "I will find you," but it's like he's just oblivious. If Liam Neeson in Taken was oblivious, it's perfect, and I love that it's still Liam Neeson. Like there's a sense of like understanding of who he has portrayed for the last 2 decades, but it's also like true to source. Like
because that's that humor. He's like playing a dry, serious character, but with the humor that matches that,
Yes.
So funny.
It's so perfect because it's like they didn't try to take away from like the perfect way to describe why he acts the way he does is because he's just his son. They didn't try to recast and say this is new.
Yeah.
This isn't Frank Drebin. This is just his son, and he just acts the same way. Love it.
I feel like Naked Gun to us is what Spaceballs is to Jake. I love Naked Gun. My parents love Naked Gun. Like, this is going to be something that I'm so excited to see if they keep the humor consistent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like I hope they don't try to evolve, like, like with like the modern day humor or whatever. They just try to keep it the exact same, which I'm sure they have to. It's the Naked Gun. Like, you can't change the humor in Naked Gun.
Yeah.
Do you remember the scene? Where is he doing? Leslie Nielsen is like on the ladder, and the woman's up in front of him. And he goes, "Nice beaver."
Yeah.
And then when she has like a stuffed like taxidermy beaver, it's the most funniest thing ever. Like, I'm so excited to see another
Oh,
a sequel to that.
personally, the bribe scene where he's on the dock and he's like he pulls out like a 20 and he has like 3 20s.
Yeah.
He's asking for information. He's like, "How about this?" And the guy takes it and he like takes all his money. And the
Yeah.
guy tries to get information from Leslie Nielsen,
Yes, and they
he's
keep
like,
going
and
back
they
and
keep
forth.
trading. He's like, "I won't tell you." And he hands me, he goes, "All right." It's just
Another
the same.
20.
It's the same $60. Like
Yes.
it's like I love. It's so stupid how much I love that. And so
Have you
it's like,
seen Airplane?
huh?
Have you seen Airplane?
That one I haven't. I have not seen Airplane. I know. I've seen Naked Gun. I haven't seen Airplane. I'm
You
sorry.
have to watch it. Oh
I
my
know,
gosh,
it's-
the same humor.
I know.
It's so good.
I've seen scenes from it. It's like, don't call me Shirley. Like I've seen the clips from
the
it.
drinking problem
Yeah,
bit, where
I
it's like,
think.
and he just like spills it on himself. He's like, "Sorry, I have a drinking problem," but because he's like, every time he tries to drink, he gets nervous and he just like
Yeah,
spills it
yeah,
down.
yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later. But continuing, weapons. Tell me what this is about.
Nobody knows. That's the fun part. So the idea, like the big thing that we do know is that Julia Gardner is a elementary school teacher. She has, I think it was 17 kids in her class. And one day they just all up and run away at 2 something in the morning. And it's the creepiest footage ever of like, they did so well. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like ring cameras or like CCTVs. And you just see these kids and they're running and their like arms are out and they're just like, it's so creepy.
Is it like robotic looking?
Yeah,
Here,
almost.
I'm gonna pull up again. I'm gonna pull up the trailers to so you can see the ending there.
So
how
yeah,
it kind of looks robotic and creepy
almost.
like that.
Yeah, almost. But yeah, it's so like the idea is that like in this second trailer, it was more digging into why her class. Like the
Yeah,
parent, like
yeah.
it was so like it felt real because the parents were like, "You did something to my kid," because it's
Right.
only her, and she's like, "I didn't do it," and it's obvious she had no part in it. But it's like, why her? We saw. Did you like? There was a lot more in this trailer in terms of the freakiness. Like there was a dude who was running around. So an adult was running around like those kids were, but it looked like his eyes were gouged out. But he was still looking. He was still seeing things. Like he was still running around and looking. And it was like it was a split second. I just remember being like, "Oh, hey," like it just looks. Oh,
It's not. That's the horror I want to see.
Yeah.
That gives you this like internal like.
dude, like when I told Jake, and Jake made fun of me because he was like, "If you want to scare Ryan, just make kids run out with their arms out at 2 a.m." But it's like
Understandable.
there was something about the teaser that was just unnerving. It's like
Yes,
the thought,
exactly. It's this uneasy
like
feeling.
imagine the next, like you woke up one morning and your Ring notification went off, and you're like, "Who is out? Like who is walking by my door at whatever?" And it's just like a. And the thing is, it was like it's not just one kid. It's like line of kids all running the same way. And it's,
So creepy.
I'd be like, what is going on? So it's like, it's just something so unnerving. And then to see like the adults that are taking part in that too. And it's like, there was a really cool scene too. And I love this idea. And cause it plays into like almost like fate or like tempting fate or like old, folklore.
Yeah.
There was one where this kid was walking up to his parents and his parents were just standing there motionless at this door. And he was walking and it's a tight shot of his foot crossing a line of salt. What does that mean? And the second he touches that line, it hard cuts and it insinuates he gets chased because the next time you see that kid, he's in the bathroom holding the door shut and there's people banging on the outside. And I'm like, ooh, that looks cool. Like that looks.
That's neat. See, that's the creative kind of horror I'm looking for. The gore stuff,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not scary.
Yeah.
It makes you want to know more.
It looks so freaky. And so like there are two things that I'm like really intrigued by. One is someone pointed out that like this is the way to do trailers because people don't like, we don't know what's going on, but we're curious. And now people are excited for it. The other thing that was intriguing was like going back to before, this film was fought for by various studios. Specifically, Jordan Peele fired a bunch of people apparently because he lost out on it. He wanted to produce it. And it's supposed
Oh.
Monkey's Paw, which is his production house, lost the bidding war for it. And there are, I don't know, I've not seen any substantiated claim, but I've seen it online that people are like, oh yeah, he fired a bunch of people because of that. So it's like there were a bunch of others.
So it
too.
must be good. Like there must be something definitely worth fighting for there.
There were 3 to 5 different houses fighting for that, and A20. I think that wasn't A24 that won out, but I remember specifically Jordan Peele was mad when he lost.
Do you know when it comes out?
Yeah, later this year, October, I think, around Halloween.
Excellent. I would love to go say, hey, we should get the gang together.
We
should have a BTS gang come together and go.
We have to, because even better, it's not October, it's August. It comes out. It comes out soon.
Okay, perfect. Yes,
5
please,
or 6
that
weeks.
looks so good.
Yes, you're not going to get Jake in a theater because he's terrified of that stuff.
Children, I understand.
Yeah, he's so scared. I'm scared of kids too.
Scared of what? Oh, he doesn't like horror.
He doesn't like horror movies.
It's like a psychological thriller horror.
He won't. I'm telling you, he won't do it.
Really?
Comment down below that Jake should go watch a horror movie. Grow up. We're sitting here.
He's a loser.
We're sitting here like, I'm quaking in my boots. Kids running away. We're like, he's a wimp.
Yeah, he can't handle this stuff.
He can't hang.
Okay. Now, speaking of children, what you should know before you go.
Great transition. Before we let you go, we're at 90 minutes in. We're gonna let you go here in the next 5-ish minutes. We have a little bit of news that we want to walk you through. As always, we'll blast through them and we'll talk about the things that interest us the most from our the 4 things, and there are more. There's always too much to talk about, but these are the 4 things that were the most interesting outside of what we've already talked about. So first off, happy Jaws anniversary. If you didn't see our post, Emily created that, by the way. Round of applause. It was beautiful. Jake,
happy Jaws anniversary.
We were together.
Love the fun fact. Oh,
yes.
What, you and Jake?
We were together when you were doing that, and he turned because it was on Friday. He turned and he said, she put gills on there. He was really impressed. He was hyping you up. So he was. So, and Jake will tell you. So congrats, everybody. Jake is like a graphic design savant. So if Jake's giving you a compliment, like, you're doing it right. So
he doesn't give out compliments often, so it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, great job, Emily. Everyone say congrats, Emily, and like it and share it and tell people that
guys.
She did awesome.
Stop it.
Also, so happy Jaws anniversary. Jaws celebrates 50 years. I don't know if I actually said that, but 50 years. The thing what's crazy about this is so when we were in school and we were taught cinema history, we were always taught that Steven Spielberg's Jaws created the modern film era. You have different eras of film. Yeah. The reason why it's so big to celebrate Jaws is because before Jaws, there was no summer blockbuster. Summer was a slow period for film until Jaws. So it's kind of a big deal. Anyway, going down the line, David Zaslav to take a sharp, and that's in quotation marks, a sharp pay cut in 2026 amidst shareholder rejection and reorganization. Good. Tom Rhys-Harries to star in DC Studios' Clayface horror film, which is getting more and more interesting as we hear more and more about that film. It's going to be scary. I love the idea. And finally, Glenn Powell to star in firefighter drama from Ron Howard.
That's very exciting. I'm a big Ron Howard fan.
Yeah?
I feel like if we could list the top 3 things we talk about each week, it would be Glenn Powell, AI, and...
We do mention Glenn Powell a lot.
We do, and AI, and...
Well, AI is number 1 without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Well, number 3 would be Jake and his motorcycle. Oh, we almost forgot the episode reference to Jake's motorcycle.
He missed it last week.
Did he miss it?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
He's fallen off the thing, man. But anyway.
I'm hyping Jake's motorcycle up more than he is. Confirmed. Anyway, there's really... Clayface is interesting. I want to see the down of Zaslav so bad. That he
deserves it. They would be the perfect revenge story. Everyone would be...
Yep. He ruined the DC studios. He lost the NBA. He is that company is bleeding money, and a lot of it is due to him. And the thing is, while things are failing and that company bleeds money, his paycheck has gone up and up and up and up. So it's awesome to see someone in that position who has done nothing but terrible things fall.
Karma.
Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. I will happily be the president of the of the Zaslav hate fan club.
Yeah.
And then Jaws, as we've already said. So anything interesting? Anything interesting you want to share? Anything you want to touch back on before we let the people go?
Did you guys like me as a co-host? I'm kidding. We wish that Jake was here. Jake, we love you. We miss you. Um, you're the best podcast co-host ever, and we can't wait to have you back.
Yeah, yeah.
For our listeners out there, I was pretending to read off my hand, but anyway, yeah. We miss you, Jake. Thank you guys for listening. We love you so much. That's all I have to say.
All
Oh, and
right.
Glenn Powell. I can't wait to say Glenn Powell.
Yes. And on
Who
that
can't? Who
note,
can't wait to see Glenn Powell? You know what I'm saying? Ah,
and on any note, that is the end of our show. Next week, Jake will be back. Emily, I would love to have you back on at any point. You'll always be here directing and all that fun stuff. But if at any point you want to hop in, because this has been fantastic, and I think our audience
yeah,
will also agree, jump in because both of your guys' opinions are absolutely fantastic, and I'm just so blessed to have you guys on the
yeah.
show. But sorry, go ahead.
It's been so much fun. I've loved it. It's been great.
And other than that, thank you guys so much for being here. We love you, and we'll see you guys next week on Beyond the Screen. Bye.